Hi Flosstube, it's Jen, also known as Quirks and Stitches. I wanted to touch base with you guys again a little bit after the 24 hours of cross stitch madness was done. First of all, thank you guys so much for enjoying that last video. It was a lot of fun to make, and really glad that we have a history of what the night was like. It was an experience, and I'm glad I was able to take you guys with me. I didn't bring a whole lot of, or give a whole lot of time in advance because honestly I didn't know if we'd be able to do it or if it was just going to be a flop or or what. But being that it was so much fun and things, I've had a lot of people comment that they would love to participate in somehow if we did it again, and I think that's definitely something we would like to do and explore and look at. I'm telling you, the night after that night when I went to bed, I stayed up till about 10. It was the best night's sleep I've had in I don't know how long. So it was worth it for that alone. My mom and I jokingly were like, so every weekend we're gonna stay up all night Friday and stitch. But it was a lot of fun. I had no idea, no concept of how much I could stitch in each time frame. I feel like I am a pretty quick stitcher, so I was really surprised that my start seemed so small in that time frame. I really, I didn't anticipate, but I think so much of it was that I had to start each thing. Like, I had to take the time to think, okay, what floss color am I going to use? Where am I going to start? Which little hole in the linen do I need to come out of to make my stitches sit right? I hate starting projects because I know the little weave and thing where you're supposed to go, but it takes me time to process that because it's just not how my mind works. So, all of that was a little bit much. So if I were to do it again and do the 24 starts, I would definitely look into having them kind of pre-started, like the first stitch in, or not even pulling it through, but having the needle threaded and the first stitch in. That's not cheating. That's not making a start. I don't know. Things to think about. It was a little crazy to do 24. I'll be honest. I look at my works in progress now and I'm like, oh my God. I watched Pretty Southern's video and she was like, now if you were being judged for a job interview based on how many works in progress you had, would you be hired or fired? I probably wouldn't be hired, but I'm going to put a little spin on that because I think that me starting so many projects would show initiative to an employer. And it shows that I'm not set in a routine that I have to go from one thing start to finish, but that I can multitask. Just a thought. So I'm going to stick with my multiple starts. I'm not going to view it as a negative, or and I don't think Pretty Southern Linda Jo was viewing it as a negative at all, but it's a different way to think. And I was kind of like, oh God, I have how many? And I just started 24 and I'm starting 31 more in March. Oh man. But I'm just going to let it be, and I'm not going to stop myself. In fact, I don't know, the last time I filmed down in my house, my space in our basement, it just, the wall behind me was a little bare, and I was like, I want to make it, I want to put some cross stitch up. So I have my cross stitch ABCs by Carriage House. It's a little dark. The lighting down here is really bad. It's all it's a drop ceiling, and so it's all the fluorescent light bulbs, which I don't like to use, so I don't have them on. So I have my OT light is actually behind my computer right now, trying to give a little bit of light for me, and I have a light to my side and all of our floor lamps on, but I just can't do the overhead lighting. It makes me cringe. But I have the Carriage House ABCs, which I love that project. It was so much fun. And then I have, move out of your way, over there is the Red and the Black one by Prairie Moon, that I had done years and years and years ago. But I had been thinking since we last did, I really wanted a visual way to see my works in progress because I don't always have a concept. They sit in a basket, and they're there, and I can see that the basket is full, but I have no idea how many I've started or how many I have going, or which ones I haven't worked on in 1,000 years. So I was toying with it in my head and was like, I keep my lists. I'm pretty organized. I think I showed you last time. I don't know where that notebook is. I have that calendar notebook that I use where I track, and I have a list in the back that says all the projects that I've currently got going on. And then I also, on the calendar pages, I don't think I showed that. And I would if I could find it, but I don't know where it is. I have like what I've stitched each day just to kind of try to track how long it's taking me to go through projects. Because obviously it's helping me gauge the concept of how fast I stitch. It's not. So I decided I needed not only a list, but I would start another system that would take more time away from stitching so that I would continue to have 1,000 works in progress. Because that makes sense. So what I did was I made these little cards that say the name, the designer, stitch count, fabric, start, and finish. This is one that I finished, so I can kind of talk about it a little bit. But I have a little card like this for every project that I'm working on, and they're hanging on the little lines with these little mini clothespins. They're so cute. I got them on Amazon. They're like, they said they were an inch, but they're like teeny tiny. I'm gonna try. We're gonna see how technically advanced we can get with our editing. I'm gonna try to get a picture and insert it in here. So that you can see the wall a little clearer. So like I said, each project, yes, I said it right, has a card. And it would be too simple just to have them all on cards. So I also have them color coded. So this one's green, this one was gray. Trying to see. Then I've got a tan. And I've got a brown. And I have another color that I don't have any finishes of, so I can't show that to you. But each one is a different size of project because I wanted to also be able to track if I was going by finishing like all my little stuff first or how like, because it's, you know, you get so many finishes out of a year. Like last year I had 19, but a couple of them were teeny tiny and they count as finishes. And I fully, you know, think that they are just as worthy of a stitch to be, you know, recognized as a big project. But I wanted a way for me to see, oh, I finished 5 big projects or 5. So I have minis, smalls, medium, large, and BAPs, big ass projects. Just so so I can maybe visualize and say, I don't want to start any more big ass projects because I have 10 going already. And, you know, I want to try to finish some of those before. So that's what I did. I have, I think, 41 up there right now. And I have to get another little row of string, jute, whatever it is, to hang up there because come March, I have 31 more that I'm starting. So that's what I did. And I really, it actually, like a lot of times I visualize doing things in my head and then I try to do them and it doesn't work. I'm like, oh, that looks stupid, or it looks like a classroom, or, not that classrooms are stupid. I was a teacher for many years, but I don't want my house to look like a classroom. So, you know, I was very conscious of that when I picked my colors for my cards. It was a lot of primary colors and cardstock that Staples had. And so I, you know, tried to pick more muted tones. I didn't realize the wall was pretty much the same color as one of the cards, but I didn't pick the color of the walls down here. I don't think my mom did either. I think it's like original to how they moved in, but it's very retro-y down here. When I'm not living here, her whole like decor is very retro and kind of Gilmore Girls-esque. It's really cute. That's a cute little apartment. I like living here. So I had my mom's help and Brandon's help to get that up and going. And like I said, I'll try to get some pictures so that you guys can see my insanity. I don't know. When I was growing up, the only reason I graduated high school and college was because I am obsessed with handwriting. I like my handwriting. It's not fancy. I can't write in cursive to save my life. But I do like it. And so I feel like it's a very unique to me handwriting. And, but I perfected it over the years because I would take notes in class and then I would rewrite them. Not to learn anything, but just because I didn't like the notebook anymore because the paper was wrong, or I changed what type of pen I liked, so I had to get a different one. So I do this where I just will make lists, and then, you know, it's a grocery list. It doesn't need to be fancy and neat, but it won't be neat enough for me, so I'll have to rewrite it. So I did those like 10 times, and yeah, wasted a lot of paper. I think I might have broken my mom's printer upstairs. Okay. So that's kind of what's been going on here. We've also been doing a lot of Flosstube watching. So, Tranquil Stitches, we watched a lot with her this week. She had actually mentioned me right before I filmed again, and so it was like this weird coincidence of timing. So it was so awesome to see her videos, and we participated in her Super Bowl Sal during the Super Bowl because I don't watch football. I mean, I'm wearing an Eagles sweatshirt right now, but I don't watch sports. I'm not a sports person. I don't do it. But so it was fun to be able to participate in the Super Bowl Sal, and I'll show you what I worked on in a little bit. I watched Linda Jo and got caught up with her, and It Is Kismet and Candy Stitches. She's kind of local to our, well, not local, but we're closer in proximity than I used to be. And Craft Gallery is both of our kind of LNS that we will hit up. I'm going to show you some of my haul. I also watched Olivia B. I went back to the beginning because I was actually really late to this whole Flosstube thing. Like I don't watch YouTube. I don't watch videos. I watch Netflix and I like would stitch. And so I'm done with Netflix right now. There's nothing on that's catching my interest other than Ted Bundy, but I can only do so much of that at a time. So I decided that I would be more proactive when I was stitching with watching Flosstube. So I was watching Olivia B from the beginning, and so many of her projects are things that I'm like, oh, I have that kitted up. Didn't know anybody else knew about that project, but she did. But I've had it kitted. So I watched some of her Pumpkin Hollow. She's great, like new to the Flosstube game, but I really enjoyed watching her last night. So it's been fun to catch up. I'm sorry I'm so behind. I want to be better, and I'm going to be. It's something that I'm working at real hard. So I have a whole list of things to talk about. It's been a lot of rambling though so far, so maybe I need to like show you guys some stuff. Let's do that. So, Craft Gallery. Super Bowl Sunday had their sale. I need some more coffee, sorry. And they had, so when I buy fabric, I get super, super intimidated when I go into a store and it's a cut your own, no, well, not me cut my fabric, but when you tell them what you want the cut of fabric to be, like, I would prefer to just buy a big piece of fabric and then me cut it to size for whatever I'm going to use. That's how Strawberry Sampler in Pennsylvania does their fabric. And so you would just go and you could get it in like 18 by 27 or the bigger size. And so last year when I did Stitch Madness, had this little graph that I used that was like, okay, this project can fit in this corner of the fabric, and then this one can use this over here. And so I was using as much of the fabric as I could. But it really, really intimidates me when I go in and they're like, here's all our fabric, just tell us how to cut it. I don't know how I want to cut it. I don't really go in knowing what I want to stitch on the fabric. I buy the fabric and then compare it with my flosses. So I was super excited when we went to Craft Gallery because they just had fabric pre-cut in bags for 50% off. Guys. I mean, I don't even know how many things of fabric I got. Like, I don't even know how to show these things to you. But like this, it's 35 count, R&R, Kansas City blend, like 17 by 26. It was $15. Like, unbelievable. So there's a whole table full because to me it's not going to go bad. And I buy a lot of muted colors. Traditionally I stitch with a lot of muted, but then, there was like this color. Like you can't even see the color, but it's like this peach and a pink and like a lilac. And so I just bought a whole bunch of stuff. Because why not? And then they had bigger pieces that were like this. I bought 2 of this color because by accident, I didn't mean to. I got home and I was like, oh, look at that. I have 2 of those. But picture this plus and R&R, Week's Dye Works, a whole bunch of different, designers, they're dyers. So I got a ton of fabric, but then they also had patterns on the table. So I went through that were 50% off, and I was like, okay, you know, I have how many patterns that I've not even started yet, and I'm gonna buy more. So I got this one, which is Stacy Nash, and it's another whale. And, you know, it's probably the same whale that I just stitched. But there's a boat, and it has a flag. I got that one. I got Jenny Bean's Christmas. I saw Linda Joe stitch that. I just finished the Halloween one. I have fabric on the floor now. It's everywhere. Witch Witch by Lottie Da. Sorry for the glare. I did not take these out of the bags. Redbird Sampler by Heart and Hand. I love these birds. I love them. Halloween Barnyard. I had never seen this one. It was by Not Forgotten. It's so cute. There's a farm, a barn. I like farms. I don't know why. Tall House Needlebook. Sorry, the glare is awful. A Fine House Indeed. Look at that house. I gotta get a house sometime soon because I just love houses. This one, it was my first one from this designer. I don't know, it's just so cute. Half off. This one, I don't do a whole lot of patriotic stuff or Americana, but there was a boat, and this one was cute. Feeding the Bees. Pardon Louise, I'm feeding the bees. My yard is always a mess because I don't do anything outside. I'm allergic to things, so. Wash Day by Carriage House. It's been on my 1, 2, 3 stitch wish list for a long time. Woodlawn Manor. Got Matter's Choice on my brain. The Colonel. I think there are more in there. I mean, I think I picked up Houses of Hawk Run. That one wasn't 50% off, but the rest of the stuff in the store was pretty much 20% off. So, houses and farms and more stuff that I'm going to stitch in like a lifetime. So, but it was so much fun and got so many things. And just to be, I mean, we got there. So we went on Friday morning, and my mom and I, before we did our 24 hours. So we went and we did that. And then on Sunday, Brandon and I went because I was like, well, you can pick up some fabric because I got him some Aida and some, 28 count Picture This Plus. I felt like was more his style than mine sometimes. So we went and got a whole bunch of that. And it was just fun. We got there at like 1:04. They opened at 1, and it was packed. Like there wasn't a parking spot. So it was fun to be around fellow stitchers, and yeah. So definitely stocked up. It was one of my things. So when I plan for Stitch Madness, I use whatever fabric I have in my stash. Or I try to. I try not to have to go and buy a whole bunch. But like this year planning it, I used most of my fabric, and so I was like, oh, I'm like, this is a little scary, like I don't have any stash left. It's not a problem anymore. I got plenty. So, there's that. I have a whole list. I feel very scattered today. A lot of people, when I was doing my 24 hours, mentioned my little project cards that I use. And so I wanted to talk about them for a little bit. And then a little bit later, I have something kind of like something I'd like to do for you guys that watch me. So a little contest of sorts that would result in me making you some project cards. So if you stick around and bear with my ramblings for a little bit longer, I'll get into that. But I wanted to explain a little bit of my process for doing these. I don't know how to switch my computer to show you my computer screen, but basically what it is it's just a file in Word that I use. And my project cards look like this. And it's a file in Word that has a table, and the table goes the full length of the page. And I have a spot over here. This isn't a good one because it's not in the right format. Hold on. This one's better. the writing goes over here that tells what the project is. I've added designer because I tend to not have, I forget. Like I have Peace on Earth by like 2 different designers, and I was like, I don't know which project this goes with. So it got a little overwhelming for me. So I make these pretty much when I get my patterns in. I keep my patterns, I'm trying to move out of the way so you can see. So my patterns are all in those magazine holders, but underneath there's binders. I use working copies because we've talked about it. I make working copies and I just make them when I get it, so I'm ready to go. I don't have all of them ready like that, but for the most part, I try to. And so like then when I'm looking through a project, the magazine holders feel like flimsy to me, and I just mess things up. So I will pull out my binders and I'll leaf through and see, okay, I want to stitch this one. And then I have a different binder that I put all the ones that I'm gearing up to kit up in there so that they're all together and I can kind of go through. If I'm on my game, which I've been a little off my game lately, I will make these up right away too. And I put it in the like page protector with the pattern. So I'll just have these kind of in that, then when I'm ready to pull floss, all I have to do is pull the floss. When I pull floss, I pre-cut. So I have things, this one looks a little messy. If I know it's a little project, I'll pull from old projects and put it together. So like this wouldn't do, I wouldn't use this for a big project because it's not going to get me a whole lot. But this is only a 55 by 68 stitch count, so it's not going to need a whole lot of it. So to me, I don't want to waste my old DMC. I want to be able to use it. So I will put it on these, and then like I said, they're all snipped at the end so that I can just use my needle. I have a needle and pull the thread out to use. If I am stitching something that is only using one strand of DMC and I have a full length, like this one is really long, and I don't want to stitch with something that would be, if I pull it out, it would be doubled. I will pull out a little bit like this. This is really hard to show, guys. I'll pull out a little bit like this and I will snip right here, and then I just pull out half of the strand. I do this for the hand-dyed stuff too, and that's probably sacrilegious to some of you. I snip when I get Gentle Arts or I get Weeks Dye Works. I snip the ends and make them pre-cut. They are already to the length of like a one strand, so I don't have to cut like I would with a DMC. I thought this would be so much easier to do this with the card, but I still feel like it's confusing and doesn't make sense to anybody's head but mine. But I will... Do I have one? Hold on. Bear with me. So see, this is all hand-dyed stuff, or over-dyed. So they're shorter than a DMC is. This is longer, this is shorter. So if I'm stitching with this, if I'm just doing one strand, which is what I've tried to switch my over-dyed floss to doing, just because I prefer not having to do the way I'm going to show you. If I'm using 2 strands, I will, in here, I will pull a full section of 6 strands out. Let's see if I can do it. Yeah. I'll just pull the whole 6 strands out, and then I separate 2 at a time so that I know that the variegation is going the same way in this. If I'm just going back to this and going to be stitching with it later, or I have some left, I'll just put it back through here. I don't make a slip knot again. I just put it through the hole, and then I know when I'm going to use that color again, I just pull that one first. Otherwise, if I'm doing it on 36 or 40 count, I just pull 1 strand at a time. And that's how I prefer to use overdyed, because the whole matching up the 2 strands. And again, I'm new to overdyed. My mom is a DMC user, tried and true. I love DMC. You know, I want, so much of stitching can be so expensive, and hence my fabric and my patterns. I want to be able to enjoy what I'm doing both in hobby and also fiscally. Like, I'm not a huge spender. Like, I know I look like I am because of all the things that I just walked away with at sale, but I will wait to buy things at a sale. So I don't typically have like haul coming every week. You know, I wait till I have gift cards. And or my mom's taking me out shopping. And she, you know, is spoiling me. So that's what I do. That's how I organize, and I try to keep these like with my projects pretty much ready to go. When I finish a project, I have a little basket. I just put the card in there for now, and then I'll either incorporate the DMC to another project card, or I'll put it into my like extra backup section in my master sets. It works for me. It may not work for everybody, but I got a lot of questions about these. I do make them. I would love to be able to find a way to get these to people to use. It's just not very user friendly. I don't know how to make it more user friendly, but stick tuned if you like those sorts of things. I have an offer. So I'm gonna put my needle away first because I don't want to lose it and have an animal eat it. Watson ate a container of needles once. Way to get x-rays. I don't want to do that again. So, what have I been working on? I have some finishes for you. And my mom was gracious enough to kind of iron some of them so that they're not so wrinkly, because I don't iron. It scares me. And I thought about it. I know a lot of people will not show their work in progress without ironing it. I like the way my fabric gets when I've been working on it for a while. So to me, to make it all stiff again with the ironing would be so counterproductive. Like, I just can't do that. So you will never see my works in progress being ironed. It's not going to happen. I will try to get better about ironing my finishes before I show them to you. But this is a work in progress, so it's not being ironed. I finished, so my goal for February was I wanted to finish Jenny Bean's Halloween sampler, and I wanted to then try to get as many of my 24-hour starts finished before March 1st as I could, because I'm starting my Stitch Mania, Stitch Madness in my terminology because it's March, and again, I sound like a sports fan because I'm mimicking March Madness basketball. So my February goals. I wanted to finish Jenny Bean's Halloween and then stitch as many of my 24-hour starts and get them done and out of the way as I could. I have to say, I may have been insane for starting 24, and I've had several people tell me that, seriously, you could have gotten like so much done on one project. You're right. But I have had so many of these little smalls in my stash for so long that I've never felt that they warranted a start. And I don't know, that's not a right way to say it, but like, I just, they got overlooked because they weren't big, and they weren't, I like big projects. I do. It's what I'm going to gravitate towards. But because I was able to start these in such a way, I have finished more of them already than I would have if they hadn't been started. So I think it actually worked, and it may be something that I try to do in the future because it gave me a way to start them all and have it feel significant. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody but me. But that was my February goal. So I think I'm succeeding, guys. But I'm working right now on the Boom Moon Prairie Schooler, the cat. And I'm counting when I do the ornaments now, there's like 6 or 8 of them on this pattern. I'm counting the cat as a finish because if it can stand by itself and be, I'm going to finish it as an individual pillow. I'm not going to do it as a piece that has them all together. So I think it counts as an individual finish. So this year I'm counting it that way. I'm stitching this on a piece of 36 count Murky by Picture This Plus, and I absolutely love it. I've had this piece because it was a piece we got for Brandon, and it intimidated me because of the modeling. Like I'm new to that, but I think it's perfect for these. So I have a big piece of it left, so I'm gonna save it for the rest of this series, or at least the ones in there that I want to stitch. I know there's an owl and I like the house. So I may go back and do more of them. Not until I finish some of the ones I started. My little thing, I don't have any room to do any more starts. It's ridiculous. So that's work in progress. I also put some stitches during the Super Bowl sale that Tranquil Stitches did. I worked a little bit on this, which is a Goultide Welcome. It's by Plum Street Samplers. And I love this one. It's on vintage, or it's just on sand dune, 36 count sand dune, by Lakeside Linens. And it's a beautiful piece of fabric. And I really enjoyed working on it and pulling it back out. I don't know when it has so much fill in. Like it is, the whole bottom of the section is like all fill in, but you know, I'm working on it. It felt good to pull it back out again. And then I had some finishes. Yay. So I finished a hoot. This was by Homespun Elegance. I just think he's so cute. And I didn't use the called for orange. I used a thread gatherer. It was whatever I had left over from when I did Autumn at Hawk Run. And so I had some in my stash. When I did the 24 hours, I said I'm not spending money on specialty fabric floss. This is on a 32 count Picture This Plus Legacy. I really like Legacy. I use it for a lot of stuff. But I think he's perfect. And I'm doing a bird, it's a heart and hand bird Christmas thing. Bird in hand Christmas. Something like that. On the other side of it. I don't tend to do that where I do multiples, but I have like 4 of them to show you right now. So I finished this. This was a Measure of the Year Fall by Prairie Schooler. I did this on 40 count lambswool. Super cute. The Nantucket Whale. It was from the Nantucket Sewing Kit by Stacy Nash. I just did this on a 36 count pearl gray. I don't know where I got it. It was a piece of scrap. I used the called for flosses for this, but I might have messed up because the border is nothing like what the pattern says. It's a very like gray. Because I was like, did I mix the whale and the border? But I love the whale. I think he's the perfect color. So yeah, the border was a pain. And the leaves aren't evenly dispersed, and I had a little bit of trouble with that. Just with my head and my little quirks. Quirks and Stitches is there for a reason, guys. This one is Stranded Jacks, the whale. And again, I'm counting this guy as a finish, even though, you know, there's a whole series there too. I'm not big into mermaids, but there's a boat that I think I have enough room down on this fabric to go and do him. This is a 40 count vintage sand dune, so it's much more modeled than the other one. I'm doing No House Without a Mouse by Blackbird on the other side. But I really like how he turned out. I think he's my whale. Last night I finished Pumpkin on a Hill by Bent Creek. I go back and forth. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with Bent Creek. Sometimes I'm like, yes, I really like those. Sometimes I'm like, nope, not my style. I think that one's really cute. And my big finish was Jenny Bean's. Let's see if I can figure out how to show it to you. Jenny Bean's Halloween sampler. Hopefully you can see it. I did this on 36 count Pearl Barley. I love it. I love it. I had a little trouble seeing the pattern. I had to enlarge it. My eyes are just not what they used to be. And another little kink I found was the one color is called for as wood pile, I think is what it says in the pattern by Gentle Arts, I believe. I don't think that's a color. Or maybe it's not a color anymore. I don't know. I couldn't find it. So what I did was I looked up the it also gave on the pattern, it said wood pile or I think 839 DMC. And so I was like, okay, let me do the conversion charts backwards. You know, a lot of times you'll pick a DMC and say, okay, what can I switch this to? No. A lot of times you'll pick an overdyed and say, okay, what DMC can I sub in? This time I was like, okay, I'm going to look for what DMC they usually stitch 839 in and then sub it. And it kind of worked. It wasn't quite so I ended up just using, my mom has one of those, like, it has a little snippet of all the colors of DMC, and I just kind of compared. So I used chocolate fudge. I don't remember. I can write it below. But I used something that I had used for Halloween Eve because I had a whole bunch of it left. So I think it was like chocolate. I'll figure it out and write it below, or you can message me if you're interested in it. I really liked stitching this one, and it stitched up fast. So that was my big finish for February. The rest of them are going to be littles. And here's what I was thinking. So my goal is to finish as many of my 24-hour starts as I can before March, because I'm starting more projects. I thought it would be fun to see, for you guys to see or to hear how many projects you guys think I can finish. And then the person that comes the closest without going over, I will make you 24 project cards for projects that you want. All you'll have to do is send me the names of the pattern and the floss, and I'll put them in order, and I'll get it all like together like these and print it out and cut up and send them to you. I wanted it to be something 24 related. I know this is only going to appeal to people that like these project cards and that organize their floss this way, but I'd love to be able to share it with you guys. So what you're going to do, if you want to, is comment below with how many of my 24 you think I'll be able to finish before March. Then the person, or if there's multiple people that guess the number that I stitch before, and are the same number, I'll use a random number generator and we'll pull one person. I will tell you, I have already finished 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've already finished 5. I am going away next weekend. We're going to Philly. So I don't know how much stitching time I'm going to have then. And on my birthday, I'm starting Matter's Choice. So I'm going to devote some time. I'm not saying I'm only going to stitch on these, but my goal is to finish as many as I can. So comment below with how many out of the 24 you think I can finish. And come March 1st, the person that is closest without going over, I will make you 24 of these with patterns of your choice if you just provide me with the DMC list. And I don't think this is asking anything that I can't find anywhere. I mean, 1, 2, 3 Stitch lists the DMCs for their projects. I'm not like trying to like compile a master list of patterns without buying them things. I don't need the pattern. I don't want your patterns. I just will need the DMC list or the overdyed list. Whatever floss you want to stitch it on, stitch with it. You give it to me, I'll make you 24 of these and I will send them to you. So there's that. If you want to. I don't know how to do this stuff, guys. I mentioned my birthday starting, I don't know what that was, starting Matter's Choice by Carrot House Samplings. I am using 40 Count and Vintage Autumn Gold by Lakeside Liddens. And I believe I'm going to be using this blackboard by Gentle Arts. It's got like kind of blue. I think this is what I might change it up closer to. If you want to join me, I'd love to have some more people stitching it. We're going to be using the hashtag #AgeDoesn'tMatter, Sal, on Instagram. Let's do a clever little pun. I think it's clever. It's not really that clever. Just wanted to make another hashtag. So that's what's kind of going on with me. I am gearing up to finish as many of those. That being said, I'm not posting them on Instagram then. I'm not going to be posting how many I finish. So you're not going to see a whole lot of stitching progress pics from me until March. So that's why I will not be, I want to keep this as, I was sitting there and I was like, do I have to like cut off the guessing? Because, if somebody sees that I finished 16 more or something and doesn't guess till the end of February 28th, because everybody's going to be sitting on pins and needles just waiting for this. You are not doing that. But don't, it's not really, this isn't, they say don't say that this is a giveaway and free or anything. I can't see that anybody that's not into cross stitch would have any desire to get little project cards, but I don't know. So just, just comment below with how many you think I can finish. And I will, once we have a result, I'll get these to you. My goals are also to film a better tutorial video to show you what I actually am, how I use them, and so you can see the document and stuff like that. But Brandon's in watching. Oh, Pam and Steph, I've been watching you guys too, and I didn't mention it before, but thank you so much for that shout out and directing people to come watch my insanity. That was so funny. I had literally just turned you guys on and like put on my Insta story, because I'm figuring those out, put on my Insta story that I was watching you, and then the next thing I know, you're talking about me. My dad came out and he was hysterical laughing. Like, he thought it was the funniest thing. He does not understand what I'm doing with this. I had to like have a talk, be like, Dad, people like are watching this, and he was like, what? Why? People that don't stitch don't get our little community. I love our little community though. I think I have rambled for far long enough. I can't think of anything else that I really need to say. Brandon is in watching tutorials on how to edit, because he has become my editor, which is great. He added the music and stuff in the last one. It isn't actually music from 24, but he was very conscious in trying to get something as close as possible that he could that was not copyrighted. So I thought it was really cute the way he did it. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for all of your words of encouragement. You guys have been like, it has just been a fun week to kind of see like just the response. And again, I'd love to be able to kind of plan something better with like incorporating more than just me and my mom. We just had no idea if it was going to be like by hour 8 that you couldn't even see anything anymore. Or not. So, we're already talking about what we can do next time and how we can tweak it. Maybe it would be that we're working on projects that are going and like seeing how far we can get on something. I don't know. I really liked the starting new things. I don't think I would have stitched these things if I hadn't started them. So I'm taking it as initiative and not being overwhelmed that my wall of works in progress is gonna fall down from the weight of it. It might. I hope not. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Don't forget, how many can I finish? I don't know. Obviously, I have no concept of how much I can stitch in a certain time frame. But I finished 5 already. So we'll see, and I'll have some more progress and finishes, hopefully, for you in March. Okay.